Hey guys, it's Blake from Chasing Creative, and last year I brought you 10 essential tips that you can use to grow your business using UGC, and now I want to give you an updated version for this year. Many of the same things still hold true, but there's a few more insights that I would share. Let's go through them. The first tip is picking the optimal platform for distribution of UGC content. What I mean by that is TikTok, Instagram, X, LinkedIn, and more. All of these platforms provide a venue for consumers to see the user-generated content that you're creating. Now, this year, I'm also recommending context because I've seen folks take long form or lots of different types of content if it's real style and post it across these platforms. Now, that doesn't always work. I've seen it myself trying to take content that I have for Instagram Reels and putting it on TikTok, and it doesn't always hit. That's because these algorithms are completely different and they look for different things for the For You pages, recommended pages, and search. By selecting the right creators for each platform, you could boost performance because those folks are more organic or have a style that leans toward the different platform. At first, they seemed quite similar, but now I think a lot of people can tell things are quite different. Whether it's snappy, a unique transition, or it's a trending audio, all of those things come to play. Tip number 2 is developing an amazing creative brief. Now, I've worked as a creator before. I've also helped other brands find creators as an agency. I've seen it from both perspectives as being the creative and then also hiring creators. There's a few things to keep in mind. Create a good budget. Your budget will dictate the type of creators that work with you. And ongoing budgets also have a role to play here. So if you only have a certain budget now, make sure you tell the influencer or the creator that if you are to allocate these funds to them, that you also have something for them the month after that, the month after that, the month after that, because that will help them stick with you. Because most creators like myself are focused on longevity with brands, the giftings that you provide, if it's a high quality, expensive item or something they're using on a day-to-day basis already. And that makes a huge difference. Now, also partnering with an agency like mine, Chasing Creative, is a great option to be the middleman for you. We find the creators, we place them with you, and then also take care of all of the creative briefs and stuff. But a creative brief should be built of different components like budget, campaign goals, question prompts for the creator, getting them to talk about it in a way that's authentic to them. They might be using ChatGPT to develop some scripts and narratives, which is fine, but make sure they have access to your product pages, to the points that you really care about, and try not to bullet point everything because look, in 30 seconds that you're asking them to create an amazing, real, high quality audio, video, and content, they're not gonna be able to fit in every bullet point. You need to find your top 3 pain points that you're solving for customers and have creators talk about that, or flip reverse that and have them talk about how the product solves those problems for themselves, because that's also a great way to approach content. I've done that with some amazing brands out there and talk to brands all the time about this. So having a really good brief also means having a timeline, having a clear terms of the agreement. How many videos am I making? What is the budget? When is the predicted due date? And what types of themes are you going to have within the content? Also, make sure you send tracking to your creators. Most of them have 20 different campaigns going on at the same time. If you give them tracking, then they can prepare in advance when they're going to receive that product and be able to shoot it. So some things there that when you're sending out the creative brief to have on hand. Also giving them a repository of where they can dump content. Creators are creating content all the time. They're not always paying for storage space. Create a storage space in Dropbox like I do for my clients, where people can just simply drop their creative and do it that way. And not to mention, have a few different video editors on hand because look, most of these creators, they have their own unique style of editing. Trying to get them to change that up into your style or what you think fits your brand can work, but it's not always as helpful for the creators' mentality of working with you. They want to, time is money, keep things moving. So if you're not going to pay an extensive budget, then don't demand a lot from your creators and make sure that you maintain that relationship. Now, I'll tell you, most creators are going to look to give you their best because one, it's their performance. They're going to be putting it on their platforms generally, and it speaks to their brand that they're building. And that is a part of the creator economy now. Think of them as like working with another company versus working with just an individual. Many of these people are making more now today than a lot of different folks that are in full-time roles at companies. So you have to take that into account that their time is money and they want it to be a win-win. Keeping the state of the conversation positive, upbeat, and optimistic. Not always do creators feel like they did the best job, and they're looking for you to reaffirm them or really give positive critical feedback from those briefs of where they might have missed the mark. If If it wasn't in the brief and they did something that doesn't hit the mark, then you can't go back to the creator really and say, hey, I need you to fix this now. Long point for tip 2, but hey, creative briefs and having that transactional relationship and developing the personal relationship between the business and the creator is very important for longevity and getting good content for years to come. Tip 3, rewarding your content creators in a big way. There's a lot of different platforms that do this, right? So you can use the different affiliate platforms. There's things like Shopify Collabs out there, Lasso, and a lot of different tools that you can use to reward your creators. Using these affiliate codes helps them garner more funds even after they've created content for you. Now, creators are buckling down. A lot of them are only licensing you their content now for that specific campaign or goods and putting a timestamp on the duration that you can use that content for. I'm not like that as a creator because personally, I'm about volume and frequency over kind of large sums with projects. I just think it pays out way better in the long run for me. Now, everybody has a different creative style. That said, if you're working with a creator, make sure they know that, hey, even after we paid you and gotten this content and we're using it, if you're not paying them a higher amount, they're going to want to ask for other incentives. Incentivize them with products or gifting and or bonuses if they use an affiliate code to share your product. Now, for me, every time I create a piece of content, I put it on all the different platforms, not because the brand asked me to, but because it's great exposure for myself. I don't do it with every single collab, but many of them I do, especially if there's affiliate code. So what I'm saying here is if you reward creators in a special way, by giving them affiliate code, they're more likely to share your content on other platforms, right? And that makes you get more traffic to your business. And when people use that code, you're giving a percentage. Think of that as cost of acquisition cost that you would spend otherwise on ads. That is one great takeaway to have. And make sure you're incentivizing them in other ways. Rewarding them could be, their address based on the forms and things they filled out. Drop them Grubhub, give them some kind of incentive. I would love to see a brand really step up and do something like that, because when you do that, it shows that you care more about the relationship with some of these influencers that really drive value for your business than just sending them money, because we've become a very transactional economy where everything is money-based. We get back to our roots of serving other people. Creators going to go a lot longer way. And they're also going to probably recommend other creators to your business to work with you, and you'll have a great brand reputation. Many of these influencers and creators end up buying your products later on if they really love them and it's a usable product. Think bathroom essentials, things like that, kitchen stuff, all that kind of stuff, things that you would eat, food, any of those things that they use up. If that's where I've tried a lot of brands and I find myself buying them later on after testing them as a creator. Tip number 4 is getting your data correct. I can't tell you enough how important it is to capture the data from traffic coming to your website. I know we're talking about user-generated content, but when you have your data correct, it's going to play out better for your business, because now you can make decisions based on accurate data that you're capturing of your customers. And here's kind of 2 different things I want you to think about. Privacy data, which is expanding drastically in the US. I work with a company called Axeptio, and we're seeing huge policy regulations and updates state by state in the US. You can go look them up, and I'll be sharing a blog in the coming days about that. But all these privacy regulations make it so you need to ask consent for traffic coming to your website. So if you have user-generated content that's driving traffic to your website, and you're not allowing those folks that are visiting your website to have that transparent visibility of cookie consent, toggling off the different marketing things that they want or don't want, that opt-in factor is important to getting data. Now, once you get that opt-in data, the second part of that is server-side tracking that allows you to, and we're not talking about fingerprinting here because there's a lot of discussions and misnomers about fingerprinting, and you get quite technical or convoluted. But what we're talking about is server-side tracking, a direct conversion API from a platform like Facebook, where you are having the user-generated content posted and driving that back to the actual website. That connection, think of it plugging into an outlet versus plugging into some kind of generator that then plugs into an outlet or extension cord, where you're having a broke down data mine versus having an actual direct connection. You want that direct connection. That's server-side tracking in layman's terms, and the way that I like to think about it, versus having this kind of other connection that connects to multiple sources. Because when you do that and you're using multiple tools, you're more likely to lose that attribution that is so important. So this is why this tip is so crucial to brands, because when you have that server-side tracking in place, it can do wonders for your business to see the cost of acquisition cost, to see the lifetime value, and to know the channels. Tip number 5 is simple. Develop goals that everybody in your business can understand why you're using influencers, because it can be hard to track the data. Now, there are third-party tools out there that say that will give you the data to track. I encourage you to test them and see those links coming from creators. But myself as a creator, I can tell you, I posted content and I've seen purchases that have netted me $500-$600 because somebody has purchased so much product. I'm only getting like 10-15% on that actual purchase. So that shows you the volume that needs to happen on one single purchase. Now, I wish I could tell you where those folks came from, because I send out a newsletter, I post on Facebook, I post on Instagram, I post on X, I post on LinkedIn, and all of these different platforms, and TikTok as well, and all these different platforms. And I don't always know my own traffic that's driving to these big sales. Now, I have my thoughts of when I post and timing and things like that. I'm able to figure it out. But you as a brand need to figure out what's important for your business. Is it that reach metric that says, hey, look, we reached more people that now have that awareness about our brand? That's a great reason to use influencers and creators in your business. It's a vital reason because it allows you to see the amount of people coming in your business, and after that, the percentage that actually convert and buy. Or is it likes, comments, shares, those reactions to the content where people are engaging? And a lot of people will kind of push that more towards the community metric. How are people interacting and learning about your brand? That's also very important and can be super helpful to your business. Or is it just coming down to revenue, which is what most ad agencies are going to tell you, creator agencies are going to tell you, the growth marketers? That's where everything lives. Is if we put out this content, both organic and then boosting a lot of the content, which most people do, are we getting more business? And you can see that on top line number. Did it grow month over month after you spent these dollars in marketing on these campaigns? Or granular, using those affiliate programs like I told you about, and you can see the sales per person through those links. But you also have to know dark social plays a great role in driving traffic. And I know a lot of brands have used me in the past just for that. They're not looking for me to send massive amounts of traffic. They're looking for me to send the right amount of traffic and share about it organically in my life. And I think the same thing applies to brands like yours that could be looking to get more influencers and creators on board with their brand long term, because most brands want to partner with creators that truly care about their product versus a creator for hire, which is a total separate thing. Now, if you can find that first one, the unicorn, someone who loves your brand and creates good content ongoing and wants to work with you, fantastic. Those do exist. But oftentimes hiring a creator or user-generated content producer can be super helpful for your business because they're aware of the terms, the agreements, the flow, and the expectations that most businesses have. Tip number 7 is developing compelling hooks. I see a lot of businesses that are pushing to have more people come to their website, going to a campaign link that they have, and they don't really think through the hook that they're bringing people in on. Now, I'm gravitating towards speaking with clients, having hooks that talk about the product, what's unique about it, what's a differentiator, why you should be using it, why you should stop using something else. I think those type of hooks are more advantageous for organic feeling. But there's a lot of hooks out there that are just plain savings. You're spending this when we only charge this. That's a great hook as well. There's things like that where the economics do play a role. Having a hook that says to the customer, we want you to buy from us versus this other competitor, or have you never seen this before, really drives a different mindset and a state of which they're thinking. So if you can get the viewer to think differently in those first 10 seconds from whatever they're thinking about, whether it's a captivating visual in person, whether it's a captivating hook and verbiage, if it's an intro to your product, if it's a feature highlight, if it's something that's completely unique about the quality, the development, or the organizational factors like sustainability or impact the company makes, if you can get that in the beginning, which is the hook, that oftentimes will allow people to dive more into your content than they might have if they were just scrolling through, because they're seeing tons of ads, both organic and paid and user-generated content. And it's not about being crazy and about making a huge splash or putting an exclamation point on everything. It's sometimes taking a pause and getting people to slow down and find that rhythm within your feed and their feed that is applying that different context to the state that they're in now and getting them to change and have an emotional shift. And if you're curious about emotional shifts or state changes, somebody who's been talking about this for years, but I think it still applies to things like TikTok and Reels heavily, is Tony Robbins. And he often talks about how getting other people to kind of either match what you're doing or having a change in what you're doing from a state and how somebody psychologically is thinking is still the same. You can kind of put that person who's watching in the place of engaging with how it would be in their real life. That will make a big difference. So setting a great hook and changing the psychology of how they're thinking about your product or the state that they're in can make a big difference in if they're actually going to end up being a buyer. And Tony Robbins, another thing that he also says that I have to steal is assume the purchase, assume the sale. Know that when your customer comes in, talk to them and have your creators talk to them like they're actually not just hooked, but now they're actually going to buy and that they're actually going to convert. I think a lot of us have done an injustice assuming that we need to only educate in the beginning where we should be actually closing, because if we know our product or service or good is going to improve the person who's watching's life, why wouldn't we push to sell them? Tip number 8 is leveraging communities. So you can do this in a number of ways. You can go to conferences, you could join Slack groups, you could create your own Facebook group. You could use a third-party tool that allows you to have a community thread where people can comment and engage, ask questions. You could have a love wall, which is what a lot of brands are doing now, where you show all the different reviews and users and buyers and consumers of your products. You could do something like Chomponians, if I'm saying that correctly, by Chomps, which is a meat stick company, but they do a phenomenal job showing people in the gym and the community that they developed that are staying happy and healthy, developing those kind of communities. And oftentimes it's creating conversation, engaging conversation, whether that's a blog, social content, or actually having live video sessions, interviews, podcasts, things like that around your brand. Now, within that, being a marketer, that's a lot of different things to tackle at once. So pick one, pick a channel that is your best channel, go hard at that one channel and see what the results might be. Number 9 is think about the next step for the customer. Think about after they've purchased. I think with user-generated content, we're only asking creators most often to promote. But what if you had that next step that they could take with your brand? Does that mean you have an app that they can use? I work with a brand called Lofty. They actually created this lamp here. And we do content for them, and we also place creators with them, and they have a lot of other different types of content they do too. But what I love most is that after you buy the clock, they have other products that you can buy, and they have different ancillary products like this lamp. They also have an app. There's a lot of personalization that you can utilize within their app and their ecosystem. And what I love is that once you purchase the product, they have a lot of content to follow that talks about that. Oftentimes, we'll talk about how they use the app or how they listen to the sounds and how they get the value out of the product versus just that initial highlight of it's something that wakes you up in the morning. So that's the context. Think about after you've sold and had the hook. Tip number 9 is what happens next. Already give them that next paver to step on so they know the direction that they're going with you in the company. And then that's where within this tip number 9 is getting them to slowly become not only an active user or enthusiast, but getting them to become an advocate, an influencer, and a content creator themselves from utilizing that first original content creator. Tip number 10 is one that I think all of you guys can utilize today. If you open up your laptop or an old hard drive, or even go on your feed and look at some of the reels that you've had that are top performing. Let's say take the top 9 that you recently had. Go into the top 9 that you've had and look to see how many of those individuals were following you or not following you that engaged on Instagram, for instance. And you can see that follower count and see the percentage. The ones where you got likes and engagement, reactions, and utility from, and conversions that were non-followers, that's important. Take that piece of content and reuse it as an evergreen piece of content. And that's tip number 10 is how can you repurpose content that you already have? How can you reuse content that you already have? And how can you share it again maybe months later? The ecosystem can change, the environment can change, buying behaviors can change. Somebody could be reminded, somebody could see it for the first time that didn't see it before. All of those different things that could happen, these different scenarios, are valid and true. And that's why repurposing content you already have is really important. So you spent so much money, time, and energy on getting the content that you have now or that you're thinking about developing watching this video. And that reminds me, we do have a checklist for you that's for free at chasingcreative.io that you can download, or just put a comment here and I'll make sure you get it. Totally free. It's a simple checklist, but it helps people get started with user-generated content. You don't have to work with an agency like Chasing Creative or mine. You can go out and do it yourself and experiment with it. But it's a lot easier when you do have people that have walked through it before and can help you see content clearly and cherry pick the best content creators. Because let's face it, I think that's a lot of what we're doing as agencies when we find good creators. But that repurposing point is super valuable and I think can help your business grow. The economics of user-generated content are tough. And I know that these tips might not help at all. It might have made things a little bit more complicated to you. But I'll say somebody that's close to both brands, agencies, and other creators, all of these are true and they're very helpful. And 10 isn't just the only number here. It's just the 10 essentials that I think are helpful when you go through these different factors when working with creators and launching user-generated content for your consumer packaged good brand, your D2C brand, or even a service that you have in your local area. The main components that I want you to walk away with after listening to all these 10 tips is just be authentic to yourself. Have your creators develop campaigns and content about the things they truly care about your product, and that will shine through time and time again. I also want you to make sure you're paying attention to data. Make sure you're measuring the channels before you launch any type of campaign, whether that's on Google, through your platforms, whether you're on Shopify or WooCommerce or whatever it is, BigCommerce as well. Make sure that you're actually tracking the data ahead of time from purchases and revenue to make sure you can see if there's an impact on your business. And also make sure you're watching the data for your social channels. If you're growing your social channels, that also adds value to your business fundamentally, but then also will help you reach other people later, retarget other people as well. And that consent part is really important. Check out Axeptio. Make sure you have that set up on your website so that way you're above reproach when it comes to ads. And lastly, just have fun. I think user-generated content is all about creativity, and it's all about talking about something that someone's put a lot of energy into create, invent, market, brand, develop. You are carrying the mantle of so much work that an entrepreneur, a business owner, a family, a group of people, investors, whoever has put their time, money, and energy into to be successful. You're a part of that story. And oftentimes it can feel very transactional over email. But I promise you, if you take user-generated content seriously, it can be a game changer for your business. And I've seen it happen time and time again with businesses. And that's why there are so many creators on the rise, growing following, growing income revenues themselves, getting more gigs, working with hundreds of brands each and every day. I hope these 10 essential tips were helpful to you. There is a previous video, so you can watch that to get some insider tips of what I've said last time. This is an updated version of those 10 tips, along with some more commentary that I think can be helpful for y'all if you're starting your business and you're starting UGC content. Thanks for tuning in. My name is Blake Wise. I'm the founder and owner of Chasing Creative. We're a marketing agency in Palm Coast, Florida, and we help brands like yours grow and scale through innovative content and dynamic strategies. Thanks for tuning in, and make sure to follow us on Instagram at chasingcreative.io and at Blake Wise. Look forward to seeing you there.